Please welcome to the show, Mary Evert. She is our yoga guru. Thank you for coming, Mary.
Oh, Liz, thank you for having me here on Happy, Healthy, Stronger. It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I actually brought you on because I know how this has transformed your life. I've watched it. I watched when you first got married here, and I watched you like flourish into this. Your body changed. Everything is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You exude beauty. You really do, and it's really important for me to show them how and why you did this. You're such a great person to share, and you did this through yoga. And I've done a hot yoga class before, and we actually taped a hot yoga class. And I want to show people at home that you can do this at home, and you can go to a beginner's yoga class. It doesn't have to be hot. Not everybody likes the heat.
Right.
So that being said, I actually know nothing about it. So you're informing me right now. That's why I said, don't tell me anything. I want to hear it now. What is yoga, and what are the benefits of yoga?
Yoga literally means to yoke, to union, bring together. So you're bringing together your body with your mind and your breath. And yoga has many different iterations. There's restorative yoga, where you're just kind of really relaxing into poses. There's yin yoga, where you're holding poses for a long amount of time. And then I think everyone is a little more familiar with the terms you hear today: power yoga, vinyasa yoga, flow yoga, and that is linking movement with breath. Anytime you hear the word vinyasa, that means you're linking a movement with a breath, and it's more of a flow, like a moving meditation.
Okay, it's really great because you're not only getting the benefits of the exercise, but you're also getting the benefits of calming your mind.
Exactly.
Right? Really being in there.
It's non-competitive, and you're just kind of really focusing on your breath, not forcing your body into anything. You're allowing your body to go places, being guided by your breath.
Now, what is the benefit? Is there a benefit actually to each pose that you're in?
Absolutely. Each pose offers something unique, something different, and all poses offer amazing things for strength and flexibility.
Okay, so what I want to do here is, I know we can talk the whole way, but I want to actually take them through a series of it's called the Vinyasa. Vinyasa. Okay, I want to take them. That is, what exactly is that?
So Vinyasa means linking movement with breath, but also when you take a Vinyasa class,
yes,
you hear a teacher say, "Okay, take a Vinyasa," and that specifically refers to 3 or 4 movements. And actually, it's downward facing dog to plank, chaturanga, upward facing dog, and then you finish it back in downward facing dog. So that's take a vinyasa. And every movement is an inhale, an exhale, or an inhale and an exhale.
And this is something that the very basic person can do and the very advanced yoga person can do?
Absolutely. Obviously, with anything, you get better the more you practice it, and there's modifications for every pose, for injuries, or if you're a beginner or you're just not strong enough to hold the pose. But basic vinyasa is accessible to everyone, and it's something you can do right in your living room.
Okay, we were going to take it into your living room, so if you're watching right now, come down onto the floor with us. I want to actually show you this because these movements, there's so many benefits. You know, Mary and I briefly went over the benefits of them, that just these small movements that you're doing can make a difference in your life. So if you're home and you're stuck at home, or you have a child at home, or you can't get out because it's a snowstorm if you're watching somewhere else, or if you just you can't get to a gym, you have the opportunity to do something like this at home, and this is just the beginning. So if you can do these, you can kind of do anything. Is that how it is?
I think if you do these movements, you'll notice a difference, you'll feel great, you'll get stronger, and once you work up to maybe taking that first yoga class, you'll definitely be ahead of the curve. You'll have an idea of, you know a little bit of the language and some of the movements.
Okay, that's great. So let's take all this away. We're going to hit the floor, and we're going to find out what some really basic moves of yoga are, and to see if it's right for you, and to show you the modifications that perhaps you're really not flexible. I hear that all the time. Just before we go, I have to say that I hear this all the time. I can't do yoga. I can't even I can't. My hamstrings are too tight, or I can't even sit against the wall with my legs straight. Which I actually have seen people that I train can't do that. And it's actually the opposite is true. You should do it because of that. Is that right?
Exactly. I hear that all the time as a yoga teacher. Oh, I can't do yoga. I'm so tight. I'm so inflexible. Well, we all start off that way. My first yoga class, I was that way too. So it's the more inflexible you are, the more probably you should be doing yoga.
Okay, so let's hit the floor. Okay, so we're on the floor here. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And we're hopefully you guys can come on the floor with us and try this. You can go in your carpet. You can put a mat down. It's not going to be too vigorous, still, right?
Right.
So let's just try this. Basic yoga moves. Is it basic vinyasa?
Basic vinyasa. We'll start from downward facing dog. Sometimes you start it from a standing position, but we'll start from downward facing dog.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we'll start with your hands. Palms on the mat, shoulder width apart, and make sure you spread all 10 fingers. And you're gonna kind of, while you're here, push into the place between your first finger and your thumb. So this place right here. You can almost pretend that you have a stack of quarters here, and you're gonna kind of just push into that spot.
Okay.
Bring your knees underneath your hips, hip width apart. Curl your toes under. Inhale, and on the exhale, lift your knees, lift your hips, and float back into downward facing dog. So this is your downward facing dog right here.
And what are the benefits of being in this position?
So some of the benefits of being in downward facing dog, you can see you're in an inversion, which means your head is somewhere below your heart. And anytime you're in an inversion, gives your circulatory system a really big boost. And in turn, it's detoxifying and boosts your immunity as well. And it's also a perspective changer. So instead of looking at the world the way you normally do, if you're feeling a little blue, a little anxious, if you go into a downward facing dog, it'll very quickly change your perspective, literally
that's really neat.
and figuratively.
Okay, that's great. Now, what if my hamstrings are really tight, or what if I can't get in this position? I want to make sure that if you're like, I can't do yoga, that's it. Some people I know have really tight hamstrings. How can we modify this so that somebody who can do this position?
Definitely. Okay, so you could bend your knees. In most yoga poses, if you bend your knees, that'll be a big help. So you don't have to jam your legs straight to hurt your hamstrings. You can bend your knees, and you'll see how that lengthens your spine. And in downward facing dog, you really want a long spine. The back of your neck is long. So let's try it again.
Okay.
And I'll show you. So in down dog, you're here. If you find yourself with a round spine, you can bend your knees and really lift your sit bones and your hips up. And see how that lengthens your spine?
I can feel it.
And then when you're ready, and eventually you can start to let your heels descend toward the mat and let your legs become longer and longer when the flexibility, comes.
So it actually really is a great stretch, and actually works on your flexibility as well.
Yes, definitely. It works on your strength and your flexibility. And downward facing dog is a weight-bearing pose because you're in your hands and your legs are engaged. So it's also great for your bone strength.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so from downward dog, we move to where?
So from downward dog, we float forward into plank on an inhale. So since this is a vinyasa, every movement is linked to breath.
Okay.
So you can be breathing in your downward facing dog, inhaling and exhaling, and then the inhale will take you to plank.
Let's try it. Okay.
Okay, so we're in downward facing dog. Exhale. Pull your belly and inhale, float forward to plank. So your shoulders are directly over your wrists. Okay. Your legs are really long. Pull belly into spine. If you have a dip like that, tuck your tail a little bit and pull your sit bone, pull your low belly in. Good. Drop your hips a little bit, Lindsay. Awesome. Now puff up the space between your shoulder blades. Good.
Oh, I feel
Heels poking a hole in the wall behind you, so your legs are really strong and back of the neck is long. You're lengthening your head, your crown of your head forward.
Okay, I feel that. That's great.
So you want to become light in your hands and your feet, really engaging your quads, really engaging your belly.
So it's basically a major isometric.
Yes, you're really, really, really tapping into all of your inner core, which really is the, all of your movements come from your core.
Right.
And when you have a strong, strong core, you're going to help alleviate any back pain that you might be suffering.
Because the opposing muscles, so it really takes the pressure off your back.
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
So if you're someone who's at the computer a lot, or who drives a car, or sitting at a desk, it's really important to regularly engage those muscles.
Beautiful. Okay, so we've gone from downward dog to plank.
Plank is your inhale. Exhale is going to be Chaturanga, and that's the most challenging part of the vinyasa. That's often not done correctly. There's plenty of modifications for that as well, because it's not the easiest move. It's a strength move.
Okay, but you can show us how to do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, wait, before we go on, can you show us if somebody can't do that plank, because that's a holding a push-up position.
Yes.
And I actually, when you were there for a while, you start to shake.
You start to feel it.
Is there a modification for that as well?
Yep, you can use your knees. So you hold your plank as long as you can.
Right.
And building strength every time. And if you need a little break, you can just drop your knees a little bit, and you're still supporting yourself.
I still feel it.
You're still finding that alignment, right?
Right.
So Chaturanga you can do from your knees, from here. So if you're finding it difficult to be in plank and you're home right now, go ahead and just drop your knees and attempt Chaturanga from your knees. It's totally fine. Otherwise, keep your legs long, your body's a long plank. Inhale, and then exhale. You're going to bring your shoulders forward. Begin to bend your elbows by your side body, right outside of your ribs, only to 90 degrees. So you're going to get your elbows right over your wrists. So make sure your elbows aren't winging out. It's not a push-up. The eyes of your elbows are moving in that direction. They're kind of folding like that. So you're not putting any pressure on your shoulders. Pull in your belly. Good. Don't let that sag. Awesome. And then when you're ready, we come into the next move, which is upward facing dog.
It feels good.
A beautiful heart opener. If you're strong here, you can push into the tops of your feet and lift your thighs off the mat, really engaging your quads. The most important part is that you're letting your shoulders come away from your ears.
Oh, I see.
And back. So your heart center is really shining forward. Again, if this is too much, you can drop your knees, or from the Chaturanga, you can just come up to a cobra pose here. You don't have to lift with straight arms, because that can be a lot. So if you're new to the practice, I would recommend exhaling, using your knees for Chaturanga on the way down. Come all the way down. Let your belly rest on the mat. Lengthen your legs. Roll your shoulders back and open your heart here.
Now, you mentioned last time that opening when you're up at the end is really good for people that have asthma. And
yes, it's great. Anything that's opening your heart like this is excellent for posture. If you have any breathing difficulties like asthma, it's great for your lungs and your organs on the inside too.
Okay, so let's try and put this whole thing together.
Okay, let's do the flow.
Okay, let's do it.
So again, sometimes you can start the vinyasa at a standing position. We're going to start from downward facing dog.
Okay, great.
Okay, palms shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart, knees underneath hips.
Okay.
You can start there, shoulders underneath your wrists. This is actually tabletop. I'm just setting up downward facing dog.
Okay.
So inhale here, curl your toes under, and exhale into your downward facing dog. You can gaze between your feet or at your belly. Again, if your hamstrings are tight or your back is really rounded, just bend your knees and lift your sit bones.
I feel relief from this. I actually
does that feel
relief
good?
Standing in here. Yeah.
So this can be a lot, but again, eventually it gets to be easier and easier that this becomes an active resting pose. So after you've had a couple breaths here in downward facing dog, take an inhale and ride the inhale forward to plank. That's an inhale, so you're really strong here in plank. Pulling belly to spine, and bring your pubis bone forward towards your chin a little bit, Lindsay. That way I'm pulling your low belly. Good. That way you're really supporting your low back.
Yeah, I feel that.
Okay, from here, Chaturanga, exhale. Drop your knees if you need to. Shoulders moving forward, elbows directly above your wrists. Awesome. Drop your hips. Roll your shoulders back. Lift your heart. Big inhale. And exhale, downward facing dog, finishing it off.
Okay, so you actually do a few of these in a row, right?
Yes, you would do a couple of those in a row in a yoga class.
I feel it. I feel that it's so isometric, and isometric is an amazing way to tone your body as well.
It is, and it's invigorating. I mean,
Yeah.
you feel like it's done to create energy inside and out, really invigorate the body and get you ready for the more the floor poses and the really back bending poses. Sets you up for the rest of the class.
Yeah, but for our viewers here today, if they're just starting out, this is like, they can get maybe 3 or 4 of these in a row, nice and slowly. Everything's slow, right?
You can go slow because you're going with your breath.
Right.
So your pace might be different than my pace, which is completely fine. So you go with your breath with every movement. Oh, sure. If you could do a couple of these in a row at your own pace, amazing. You feel great.
That's awesome. Okay, Mary, you know what? I know there's so many more questions that I could ask you. I know there's so many more questions that people may have just starting off, because it's intimidating sometimes going and seeing these people with their legs behind them, they're on one hand, and they're, it's amazing what they actually get into. I'm sure they all started off just the way some of our viewers are like, oh, I can't go in there.
Everybody starts
off, right?
Yeah.
Are you available to anybody if they can contact you and ask you some questions?
Absolutely. My website is manmakersports.com, and my email's there, and that's the best way really to get in touch with me.
Okay, that's great. And I have to mention this, I'm forgetting. Manmaker Sports is this line of clothing that you actually designed too.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. So I have a line of men and women's tights right
That's
now
beautiful.
and shorts.
Beautiful.
So, and that's on the website too, if anyone's interested. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It
It was such a pleasure. Oh, thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. Anytime.
Okay, and don't forget to message Mary if you have any questions at www.manmakersports.com. www.manmakersports.com. Mary, thank you, and thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, everybody.